Hi everyone and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I want to show you how to make a truly traditional Ukrainian Easter bread with a long history called Paska. Last year I shared a more modern version, sweeter with glaze on top, but this one is different. This is a real classic Ukrainian Paska. It's made more like a rich bread without any glaze, and instead we decorate it with beautiful dough patterns. It's slightly sweet, soft, and very aromatic. You can enjoy it as a dessert with coffee or even as a sandwich with ham. That's what makes it so special. It's simple but very versatile, and the texture, it's incredibly fluffy and moist. So let's get started. Now let's prepare the yeast mixture. In a bowl, I'm using my stand mixer bowl. Add 260 milliliters of warm milk. Then add 100 grams of sugar. You can adjust the sweetness to your taste, but I like to keep it balanced. Next, add 5 grams of instant yeast and mix until the yeast and sugar are fully dissolved. Now add the flour. We will be using a total of 500 grams of strong flour with about 13% protein. Don't use a weaker flour or the dough will turn out too soft and runny. For the yeast mixture, take only 1 cup from that amount. Add the flour in 2 parts. First half a cup, mix well. Then the second half a cup and mix until smooth and no lumps. Cover the bowl and place it in a very warm spot for about 40 minutes, until you see a foam form on top. While the yeast mixture is resting, let's prepare the dry fruits. I'm using 115 grams of dry apricots and 93 grams of raisins, but you can also use cranberries or candied orange peel, whatever you like. First, we need to soak the raisins so they become soft, juicy and more flavorful in the final bread. Pour 50 milliliters of orange liquor or whiskey over the raisins. Then add 50 milliliters of hot water. If you prefer, you can skip the alcohol and just use 100 ml of hot water or orange juice. I'm not soaking the apricots because they're already soft and moist. Just cut them into small pieces and set them aside. Now while the raisins are soaking, we will continue working on the dough. Your yeast mixture should be very fluffy at this point. Now we can start making the dough. To the yeast mixture add 2 whole eggs and 3 egg yolks, along with a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Mix everything together until well combined. Now sift in the remaining flour and start mixing until a soft dough forms. I'm using a stand mixer because this dough requires a longer mixing time, but you can absolutely knead it by hand. It will just take a bit longer. Once the flour is fully incorporated, cover the bowl and let the dough rest for about 15 minutes. After the dough has rested, we can continue mixing. Now add 70 grams of butter. It should be soft at room temperature. Add it gradually, a little at a time, mixing well after each addition until it's fully incorporated into the dough. In total, it took me about 20 minutes of kneading. At first, the dough might look sticky or slightly separated. That's completely normal. Just keep mixing and it will come together. At this point, also add the zest of 1 orange. Continue kneading until the dough becomes smooth, elastic and slightly glossy. It should feel soft and a little tacky, with well-developed gluten, so don't rush this step. Sometimes I also scrape the dough and butter from the sides of the bowl to help everything mix evenly. Once you're done kneading, check the gluten development. Stretch a small piece of dough. If it stretches without tearing, it's ready. Now take about 150 grams of the dough and set it aside for decoration. Add around 25 grams of flour to it and knead a much stiffer dough. Don't worry if it feels dry at first. It will soften as you knead it. Form it into a ball, cover it, and set it aside in a warm place until we need it. Now let's go back to the dried fruits. Drain the raisins and dry them well using a paper towel. Then combine them with the chopped apricot in a bowl. Add 1 tablespoon of flour and mix until everything is evenly coated. This helps keep the fruits evenly distributed in the dough and prevents them from sinking. Now add the dried fruits in the dough. Mix them in gently until they are evenly distributed. The dough will be soft, so take your time and make sure everything is well combined. Don't worry if it sticks to your hands, that's completely normal. Once ready, shape the dough into a ball, cover it and place it in a warm spot. Let it rise for about 1.5 to 2 hours, or until it doubles in size. After the dough has risen, it will be very soft, less sticky, and easy to work with. Now prepare your paper molds for the Paska. I will leave a link to the ones I'm using in the description below. They are my favorite. Lightly grease the inside of the molds with butter. This helps prevent sticking and makes it easier to remove the bread after baking. For this amount of dough, you will need 2 molds, about 560 grams of dough each. Gently transfer the dough onto your work surface. I like to slightly oil my hands so it's easier to handle. Divide the dough into 2 equal pieces. Now shape each piece into a smooth, tight ball using a circular motion on your work surface or in your hands. Try not to deflate the dough too much. We want to keep as much air inside as possible. Place each piece into a mold, then transfer them onto a baking sheet. Now place them in a warm spot to rise for about 1 hour, until the dough reaches the top of the mold. Now let's make our decoration. Take the dough we set aside earlier. It should be slightly puffed and firmer, which makes it easier to work with. Divide it into 2 equal pieces, 1 for each Paska. Then divide each piece again, one part for the border and the other for the center decoration. For the border, I'm making a braid. Divide the dough into 3 pieces and roll each one into long, thin ropes. Pinch the ends together and braid them. Then set it aside and keep it covered so it doesn't dry out. For the center decoration, I'm making a wheat pattern. Again, divide the dough into 3 pieces and roll them into long ropes. Then shape them into small wheat details, just like I'm showing in the video. For the second Paska, I'm doing a simpler border. I take 2 ropes and twist them together to create a swirl pattern. Keep everything covered while we work, so the dough stays soft and easy to shape. Once your bread is fully risen and nicely puffed, it's ready to be decorated. Take your prepared dough decoration and gently place them on top. Start with the border, then add your center design like the wheat pattern. Lightly press them in so they stick, but be careful not to deflate the dough. Now brush the entire surface generously with beaten egg yolk. This helps seal the decorations in place and gives the Paska a beautiful golden color and shine. Bake in a preheated oven at 340 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes. I moved mine in a larger oven since it started touching the top. Then reduce the temperature to 320 degrees Fahrenheit and continue baking for another 20 to 30 minutes until fully baked and golden. While it's baking, let's prepare a simple syrup. In a small saucepan, combine equal parts sugar and water. I'm using 50 grams of each. Heat it gently, stirring until the sugar is completely dissolved. Once it comes to a light simmer, remove it from the heat. As soon as the Paska is ready, take it out of the oven and brush the top right away with the syrup. This gives it a soft shine and helps keep the crust tender. Let the bread cool completely and then you can slice and enjoy. And that's it, your traditional Ukrainian Paska is ready. This is exactly how it's been made for generations. And now you're part of that tradition too. It does take time, but it's absolutely worth it. If you enjoyed this recipe, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. And let me know in the comments if you try making this bread and how you like it. Thank you for being part of my baking journey, and I will see you in the next video.